First presented in October 1974 on the Paris Motor Show, the Porsche 911 Turbo has become one of the defining sports cars to introduce turbocharging technology in production vehicles. This first version, internally called 930, made 260 horsepower from a 3-liter flat-six engine, and a notorious turbo lag made it rather challenging to drive for unexperienced drivers. So this is the all-new 991 Turbo, and it makes more than twice the horsepower of the 930. It also shows the complete change in character that the Turbo has undergone in the last 40 years. All-wheel drive has transformed the beast into a civilized all-season supercar and possibly the most comfortable variant of the 911 range. Now I could make this a professional 8-minute review like everybody else, praise everything that's new as better and call it a day. But that's simply not the way I look at cars, and especially not at Porsches. The truth is, to people like me who love real driving, the sheer ease of how the last Turbo delivered its mighty performance thanks to a vast amount of technology made it appear slightly numb and clinical. So has Porsche's strive for perfection resulted in another flawless Turbo that lacks a bit of character?
Now I think you get what I mean. Many people expected more sound from a Turbo than the last one and just a more emotional driving experience, and I can definitely tell you that this car here has an amazing sound. In fact, let me give you a little bit of sound. Take the window down.
Demnächst links abbiegen.
Shut up. I mean, you can always hear the turbos in this car,
100 Meter links abbiegen.
and that's just amazing. The sound of these turbos
Jetzt links.
is just crazy. Absolutely amazing engine sound. The engine is so powerful. 560 horsepower in this Turbo S here. Absolutely amazing. Words really can't describe it.
The performance is absolutely shattering. Both turbos have 3.8-liter twin-turbocharged flat-six engines with variable turbine geometry. The standard car makes 520 horsepower at 6000 RPM and a terrific 710 Nm of torque on overboost. But this Turbo S is even more impressive. It makes 560 horsepower at 6500 RPM and 750 Nm of torque on overboost. Now, the Turbo has always been one of the fastest accelerating cars in the world, but this year, it's just nuts. Porsche claims a conservative 0 to 100 kph time of 3.1 seconds, 0 to 160 in 6.8 seconds and 0 to 200 kph in just 10.3 seconds. The top speed is 318 km per hour or 197 miles per hour. Porsche is confident enough to simply call the new Turbo the benchmark. And once you take a closer look at the new technologies they use on this car, you want to believe them. First, there's the new PTM all-wheel drive system with electro-hydraulic control and a new water cooling function that helps to drive more torque to the front wheels. A new lightweight chassis with a 100mm longer wheelbase, a wider front track and bigger 20-inch wheels help to increase the handling and high-speed stability, just like the new PDCC active anti-roll system offered for the first time as an option in the new 991 Turbo and standard in this Turbo S. The new rear axle steering system as well as the active aerodynamics called PAA furthermore support Porsche's benchmark statement and made the press conference similar to a physics lesson. All I wanted to do was to get back on the road.
Now the all-wheel drive steering is very interesting for me because it gives you virtually 3 different cars. So when I'm driving in town to speeds up to 50 km per hour, the rear wheels steer into the opposite direction of the front wheels. And that virtually gives you a shorter wheelbase and makes the car more agile. Above 80 km per hour, the rear wheels steer into the same direction as the front wheels. So you get virtually a longer wheelbase and a car that feels much more stable at high speeds. That's also what Walter Röhrl told me about the steering. You know, the turbo for me falls into a category that I like to call easy speed. This car has all-wheel drive, PDK, so everybody can drive it fast. Very fast actually.
Considering how capable the Turbo S is, it really surprised me how quickly you become one with it. Very few 997 turbos were delivered with a manual transmission, so the new PDK with virtual intermediate gears is the only transmission option in the 991. It makes the turbo's performance easily accessible, while its responsiveness never stops to impress. Once the bi-turbo hits full boost, the thrust is so brutal that you want to keep both hands on the steering wheel and start to appreciate the pedal shifters. In fact, you only use the pedals to be more involved into the driving, because the dual clutch transmission is engineered so brilliantly that even Walter Röhrl preferred to use the Automatic Sport Plus mode on the track. The different Porsche vehicle dynamic systems such as Porsche Torque Vectoring and the new Porsche Dynamic Chassis Control PDCC work together perfectly and give the driver a tremendous amount of confidence in corners.
Now the PDCC is actually quite controversial. Some people like it, others don't. And on this Turbo S here it is standard. I have to say, some people told me that when you drive this car on the road it feels strange because of the PDCC. But I don't agree with that. To me it really feels nice. I love the way it drives with the PDCC. It's very, very stable in corners. Corners very flat. Maybe you have to get used to it, but I think it's a great option. And on the racetrack it really works brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So I decided to stop here to show you these new active aerodynamics here on the front. This is actually made of a special rubber and it's a pneumatic system, so we have 3 stages. The first stage, when the spoiler is folded in, gives you better ground clearance. The second stage, these flaps here on the side come down at 120 kph, which gives you better aerodynamics and better brake cooling, for example. And this right now is the performance mode. Then the spoiler is fully extended and gives you great downforce at high speeds. Very, very interesting technology. The Turbo is actually Porsche's first car with full LED headlamps, and they are standard on the Turbo S. And the Turbo S also comes standard with Porsche's PCB carbon ceramic brakes, and they work really great on the racetrack. So, in summary, the Turbo S with all its options, I believe, is a little bit cheaper than if you order a turbo with all the options that the Turbo S has at standard. Now a quick word about the interior. It is of course a typical 911 interior, apart from the gauges that say Turbo S instead of Carrera or whatever. So for me personally it's the best interior that I know. It is such a comfortable car, it is such a high quality finish inside here that I really can't think of many cars that have nicer interiors than Porsches. And the turbo, of course, as the top of the range model of the 911, is no difference. So one option that is new for the turbo is the Burmester sound system that I already talked about in my Cayman-S review. Very, very nice sounding car, I have to say. I don't understand when people say that the turbo hasn't a nice sound, you know. It sounds amazing, at least this one here. Yes, the interior is just a really, really beautiful place to spend your time, and I really, really like it. And when you choose the Turbo S, there are not many options that you have to pick.
The 911 Turbo is the nerd of supercars. From a technical point of view, the new 991 is every bit as brilliant as I expected it to be. Mind-blowingly fast on the track, comfortable and efficient on the road. The Porsche guys really made sure that at this launch event nobody was left in doubt how usable and crazy fast their new turbo is. I have never seen test cars that have been driven this hard without suffering. So yes, purists will probably prefer the GT3, which is just a little bit sharper, I guess. But for me the Turbo S is one of the very few cars I have ever driven that impressed me so much that I can actually call it perfect. Well, almost.
So what's my final verdict on the Turbo S? I have to say, more than any other 911 that I've driven, this car seems to smile at me viciously and it says, "Hey Guido, do you want to have a taste of my performance?" And I say, yes, yes, yes. But to find the roads where you can actually do more than just tease the turbo a little bit, even here in Germany, is very, very hard. So remember that before you tell me that a Carrera 4S with a manual transmission is not fast enough for you and less exciting to drive. Apart from that, yeah, the turbo starts up, that means I have to keep on driving it, and that's what I'm doing now. Thank you guys for watching. Tell me what you think about this car. Would you pick it instead of a GT3 or a Carrera 4S? And if you're not sure, I think that says more than words. Take care.